Hey guys, this is Woodshop Junkies, and today I'm taking a swing at restoring the cast iron tabletop of my Wadkin table saw. For those who don't know, I recently purchased a very old table saw with the hopes of restoring it to its former glory. I've already converted the existing 3-phase setup to run on single phase, and today I want to restore the top to a nice clean metal finish. Before I get into it, however, I do want to mention that I was hoping to do a build this week, but as I mentioned in my shop talk video, I've been out of town with work, so I haven't had the ability to source material or plan properly. So instead I'm going to be jumping on this in the hopes of it being a fairly simple and straightforward project. So what I have here is the main saw bed with the cast iron table extensions removed. I would have preferred to do this with the extensions installed onto the top, but the alignment was slightly out to begin with, so I would need to realign it anyway. Now, considering the saw's age, the top is actually not in bad shape. There's some minor rust over here, and at some point it seems like someone spilled what looks like paint on it. There's also some minor surface scratches and small pit marks from what I'm assuming is some person dropping something hard or metal on the top. So though I think I can greatly improve what this top looks like, there's no way I'm going to get it perfect, because I can't remove the scratches and the pit marks without machining. I will admit, I'm no expert because I've never done this before, so I did quite a bit of research and tested out a few different techniques on the left table extension. I think I may have found a sequence or technique that is best suited to my situation, which I'm going to repeat on these two pieces now. Before I get into it, however, I do want to mention that this thing is heavy. When it's assembled with its side tables, I can't pick it up by myself, and it is thick, about 12 millimeters or a half inch. So worst case scenario, I can always take it in to get it on a surface grinder and remove about 1/4 of a millimeter from the top. This would ensure a perfectly flat and brand new looking finish. This, however, wouldn't be the most practical solution because it's going to be really expensive, and I realize it isn't really an option available to everybody. So first I'm going to try the cost-effective solution by trying to restore it here at home. Okay, so my first objective is to remove the paint and other deposits on the top like this, which seems to be glue or some kind of resin. And to do this, I'm going to take a less aggressive approach by using a volatile solvent like paint thinners and a scraper. Right, so that took care of most of the deposits on the top. There is still a bit of paint left here and there, but that is mostly stuck in the pit marks and valleys in the scratches. My next approach is a bit more aggressive, and that is using my orbital sander to sand the top with 150 grit paper. This is not ideal for obvious reasons, and if a bit of rust was my only concern, I wouldn't even consider it. But this is a 40-year-old top and the iron is discolored, so a more aggressive approach is necessary. Now, I have asked around, and considering the fact that cast iron is very hard, I should be okay if I apply constant medium pressure and I don't focus one area for too long. So as I said, this top is hard and it is actually chewing up the sandpaper in a matter of seconds. And I'm not really getting the result I want just yet. It is looking a lot better. I don't know if you can see on the video, but it really is looking better. But to get what I want, I think I'm going to have to drop the grit down to 60. Okay, so I've reached the point where the sandpaper really isn't doing anything anymore, so I'm going to run over it quickly with a 220 grit for what it's worth, and then I'm going to move over to the next step. Okay, so I'm not going to try and sugarcoat it. The process is labored, but the top looks a lot better, and judging by some of the smaller pit marks and scratches that are still visible, I didn't take too much off the top. Next, I'm going to focus on restoring the color of the iron or the cast iron by using a penetrating lubricant and a synthetic abrasive pad or a Scotch-Brite pad. Okay, so for the next step, I'm going to apply some penetrating spray and give it a good rub with the Scotch-Brite pad. But to make my life a little bit easier, I'm using this little palm sander, which because of its configuration or method of attaching sandpaper will allow me to attach the Scotch-Brite pad to it and, like I said, make my life a bit easier. Okay, it's looking a lot better, but it's not really delivering the results I was expecting. So maybe this is one of the rare occasions where the manual option is better than the powered one. So I'm going to give it one more go before moving over to the final step. Okay, so the results are pretty much the same, though it does feel a lot better. So the next step is to go over it with a metal polishing compound and a polisher. Right, so I quickly popped the table extensions back on just to have a look at it. It's obviously not aligned yet because I'm taking it off again when I paint the saw. But as for the results, it's not exactly what I expected, but it is definitely a whole lot better than it was. The marks and scratches are still very visible, but I think trying to remove them is going to do more harm than good. Then as for the shine, I was hoping to get more of a shine out of it, but I think this is as good as it's going to get. Now, if this whole exercise has taught me one thing, it's that the only way you're going to get a 40-year-old cast iron top in great condition is to care for it for 40 years. Now, I can't go back in time, but I can make sure that this top doesn't get any more damage going forward. So for my final step, I'm going to treat it with a rust preventing spray. Right, so as I said, I'm not ecstatic about the results, but there is definitely a notable improvement. With the top restored, I'm one step closer to having this beast as my primary table saw for my small home workshop. My next step is going to be stripping it down and starting with the repairs on the broken components. But I've got a few builds I want to squeeze in first before circling back to the restoration. But that's going to have to be it for this video. I'm really excited about getting the saw up and running, and if you want to see the restoration completed, remember to subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will be back really soon with a new build, but for now, as always, thank you so much for watching. Till next time, cheers.